Quest for Telangana identity. This is the topic which we are discussing today. What do you mean by quest? Quest means search. If you remember, the first topic in Telangana formation, TS formation, we discussed identity of Telangana. There we are establishing Telangana is separate geographically, culturally, socially, economically, and historical reasons are also making Telangana a separate identity from the other regions which also speak Telugu. There are regions like Rayalaseema or Andhra, coastal Andhra, which speak same the language, that is Telugu. But Telangana is different. This is what we established in the first topic itself. And now, in between, means we are exactly almost in the middle of the Telangana formation paper, and we are talking about the quest for the identity. Why this quest? If you remember correctly, Telangana's identity is thoroughly separate. But 52 to 56 events finally led to the merger into Andhra Pradesh. That is, Telangana lost its political and geographical identity with the formation of Andhra Pradesh in 1956. 56 to 69 period, though we did not lose our identity, we lost our independence. We lost our resources. We lost the rights to the new ruling class, that is Andhra ruling class. So, by 69, there was a fight again. So, 56 to 69, a separate period. But after 69, if you see 69 entire period, we have to count as the year of agitation. Because almost for 8 months in that year, in 69, the agitation was there. If you want to culminate 69 movement, starting from the agitation beginning in January, that is Rabindranath's hunger strike, till the construction of Martyrs Memorial in 69 February, you can take as one period. So, after this period, there was a conscious effort to, from rulers' angle, from Andhra rulers' angle, it is integration. But from Telangana angle, it is colonization. Telangana was colonized very intelligently from 73 onwards. We have discussed threadbare many aspects like World Telugu Conference or Ma Telugu Taliki Malle Pudanda, or like that many aspects are physically colonizing by colonies, by industrial entrepreneurs occupying the space for the Telangana entrepreneurs. And finally, we could see Telangana is no more a vocal or separate identity. And by 1983, I am summing up the whole aspect. With the entry of N.T. Ramarao and Telugu Desam, the whole scenario is completely changing. After 83 till 90s, you can say, or 89, you can say this period is a very, very bad period where you don't have any movement for Telangana. Only people are left with aspirations. People are having aspirations. Leaders are not there. Some people who were leading the movement in 1969 were there. But the whole period is the period of complete colonization. This colonization is complete by N.T. Ramarao's period. From Jalagam Vengal Rao to N.T. Ramarao, this colonization is thorough. So, if the process is happening like that, then we have to call again, we have to fight, we have to shout out so that we search for our identity. Where the Telangana's identity has been lost in the previous years. So, this quest will be discussed in this class. This period, we are talking about the public awakening and intellectual reaction against discrimination. But today, in the first part, means there are many mass organizations coming in this process. We will be talking about the initial things, means the initial, it's a small effort. People gathering, discussing about the injustice, discussing about the issues of Telangana. So, this quest for Telangana is starting in this period post 1973, but this is happening continuously after 76, we can see. Like, what is happening in this period? Under this topic, we will be discussing about the intellectual discussions and debates, political and ideological efforts happening in this direction, and the growth of popular unrest against the regional disparities, discrimination, or underdevelopment, whatever we call, in Telangana. So, with this means a discussion will leading into dissent. See, everyone will not have the vision that, yeah, we are getting injustice. But the people who are conscious will make the point, will make or shout aloud that this is happening. And in this process, public will get the consciousness. With the consciousness, what will happen? The next round of agitation will begin. That is new formation of mass organizations to articulate the identity of Telangana separately. So, these are the things we'll be discussing today. First of all, let's talk about the people who were in 1969 but still carrying the torch. They were in the 1969 movement. First, we should talk about Prof Keshado, who was in the forefront of formation of Telangana Praja Samiti, TPS, a journalist. He was continuously searching for the opportunities to raise the issue of Telangana whenever possible, till latter period too. Even after 80s, we can see him. 90s, we can see him. Till his death, he was with the Telangana movement. And Professor Jayashankar. Of course, Professor Jayashankar is a person who is there with the Telangana movement from 1952 to last phase, till his death. In 1952 movement, he started from Warangal to participate in Hyderabad City College movement and all those things. But his bus failed at Bhuvangiri and he could not reach on time. So otherwise, he would have been a direct participant of 1952 movement, as he said in his biography. He was dictating his biography. He was talking in many of the meetings. In one of the articles he wrote about 1952 movement, and he could not come to 1952 Hyderabad movement because the bus failed at Bhuvangiri. So 52 to last 2011. So Professor Jayashankar was there in all the periods and making the intellectual contribution for the movement. His thread is like a garland. In garland, if you can see, there will be a thread. Without the thread, you can't see the garland. He is like the garland in the entire, he is the thread in the entire garland. Professor Jayashankar was, another important quality of Professor Jayashankar is, Professor Jayashankar was ready to make any person, meet any person, or bring any person into Telangana movement without any ideological differentiation. That is why a popular saying of him was, from RSS to RSU, extreme right to extreme left. RSS is Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh. RSU, Radical Students Union. From RSS to RSU, I will bring all of them into Telangana movement. I am ready to go and talk to them and bring them. This was his attitude. This was his understanding. This was his philosophy. For Telangana, all our nations should unite and get this geographical identity of Telangana. This was his understanding. So this is another important person. Of course, he is the sole person who carried the torch till the end. And Bhupati Krishnamurti, popularly known as Telangana Gandhi, was another person who was carrying this torch or the light of Telangana movement, starting from the beginning period till the end, till his death in 2013 or so. And Kaloji Narayan Rao. Very interestingly, Kaloji Narayan Rao was an integrationist, Samaikyandravad or Vishalandravadi in the first phase during the merger. But after the merger, we could understand what is happening with the entire politic. This Telangana is completely submerged into the politics of Andhra Pradesh. There is no identity for Telangana. Then Kaloji woke up. He started supporting Telangana in the latter phase. So Kaloji Narayan Rao, till his death, again, he was a staunch supporter of Telangana. And this period, he is the one who is the central figure like Jayashankar. More than Jayashankar, many people admired Kaloji Narayan Rao because of his age and poetic prowess. And he became a center for the next phase of activity on whose name people were gathering in Hyderabad. Though it's a small gathering, we'll talk about it then. Next one, Professor Keshado, another person who was there from 1952 to till his death this year. Professor Keshado was thoroughly in mind, with body and mind, he was into Telangana movement. A Paidaishi Hyderabadi. Paidaishi means by birth, and he is a staunch Hyderabadi, he is a local. a Hyderabadi who was for Telangana movement, Professor Keshado. Then Professor Sridhara Swami. He was in forefront in the teachers movement. He was a professor, he was a teacher, then became a professor, and he was active in bringing many documents or books, and he was a participant in Telangana movement in 69 too. So, as a teacher, he was making all his contribution of this period, 1969 movement and later too. So, these are the important names we talked about. Then, if we talk about the entire Telangana movement, you have to divide the entire Telangana movement in different phases. Till 1969, as we have seen, the movement was in some other form. 1952 movement very short-lived and started from a demand non-mulki go back. Jai Telangana is shouted aloud, but non-mulki go back is the first went out, so that is limiting and a small period 1952 movement. But 69 movement had a great ideological understanding too, because from 56 to 1968 there were efforts to get the rights of Telanganites. Organizations were fighting, like TNGO was fighting for the rights of the employees. But by 69 we could not find any solace, any respite in the exploitation by Andhra ruling class. As a result, in 1969 the whole movement has it burst out, and 69 to by 70 February it calmed down. It went into a setback, but the people are still there with the same consciousness. They are not happy with the setback, and they are not influenced by the tactics of the Andhra ruling class to integrate or to cover up all the wrong deeds of Andhra ruling class. They continued their efforts with new methods of propaganda or public meeting. It is not so big, it's a very small activity, but still they did with the same vigor as they did in 1969. The spirit never died for these people. So, they understood the new forms of subjugation during this period. Means post 1973, what are the new forms? More than the physical thing, more than the physical repression, what the Andhra ruling class did was very consciously made the colonization. At the psychological level, with all the culture, means all Telugus are one, is the one which can lead to this type of understanding. Imagine the same thing, because whenever I am talking about all the Telugus are not one. Telangana is different. Many people said, Desha Bhashalandu Telugu Lessa, don't forget that we are Telugus. Then this rule will apply to all Hindi speaking states. Are you ready? If all the Hindi speaking states are getting merged into one state? Need not be. As we have understood what Ambedkar said, a state need not have just, a language need not have just one state. A language can have many states, but a state should have one language. Understand this spirit. So, if we understand this spirit, we have to understand that Telugus are different in different areas, and Telangana Telugus or Telangana is a different one. To integrate this aspect or to make this aspect, the separate aspect blur, there were new forms of subjugation. So, this subjugation was making people forget about the thing. Very interestingly, though the leaders are some of the people who are conscious enough to understand this subjugation, definitely in Telangana there was a phase where people also could not get the same feeling, pre-1969 feeling for a few years because of the subjugation. Colonial psych or colonized psych or a fake or pseudo psych of we are all Telugus, so we should be in one state. So, this is the major aspect of this early phase. Post 1972 till the next phase of movement till 1998, when bigger mass organizations are forming. So, 1972 to 1998 means how many years? Almost 20 years. We can see the change in the psychology of the people. So, talking about the injustice is very important. When there is no movement, remember this aspect. If the movement is not there, if people are not coming onto the streets or not pouring onto the streets in agitations, in protests, so at least keep the propaganda activity alive so that if not today, tomorrow the movement will again pick up. That is the spirit, or that is the essence of any intellectual activity. So, activists of 1979 were the torchbearers of this movement. Torchbearers, I am calling them as torchbearers, means they are showing the way. They are continuing, they are still fighting against the darkness. That is why I call them as torchbearers. The forms of organization these people have adopted, like you can see, that is small gatherings, group meetings, distribution of pamphlets, or bringing out booklets or magazines. If you see, bringing a pamphlet itself is not a big activity. A pamphlet may not bring complete change, but pamphlet will carry the political message, what you want to talk to the people. This pamphlet will go to thousands of people with the same, strength as any individual will talk about it. Means pamphlet is an organizer. So in that aspect, they are publishing pamphlets on the injustices Telangana is being meted out. So bringing out booklets and pamphlets is very important activity of these people. Why they meet, gather, though it is a small gathering, gathering together will boost the spirits of the few people who are left without the mass agitation. So these are the activities. If you take the names Pratap Kishore, the journalist, Kaloji Narayan Rao, poet, Professor Jayashankar, Professor Tota Anandarao, Professor Tippareddy, Professor Madhusudana Reddy, all these people are teachers in university. Remember, intellectual activity, teachers and students, this community will always be helpful in propagating the issue, always be helpful in understanding the subjugation or exploitation, because the people who are not into intellectual activity may not have the leisure or time to understand the struggle, day-to-day struggle. Each second they have to struggle to live. That is important for them. But the intellectuals can see the things as an academician or a person who is understanding society or a social scientist. And they could see and they could make the theories. They could make the generalizations, and that will be carried by the people in the agitation. This is the dynamics we have to understand. That is why I am talking about so many professors who were teaching in Usmania University and taking the responsibility of consciously organizing the people through their activities. E.V. Padmanabhan, ex-councillor, he was a consistent campaigner for Telangana from the beginning. So, all these people were the important people who laid foundations for the next stage of Telangana movement. I said it is the keeping the light glow, means they are watching that the spirit of Telangana movement of 1969 or the demand for separate Telangana state should not die down. That is why they kept the light glowing by fueling it. What are they fueling? They are fueling the intellectual quotient, intellectual content for Telangana movement. If anyone is asking for you to fight, what the basic question we get is, why should we fight? Means injustice. So injustice should be explained, and these intellectuals did the same thing. So, except for a few books which came in 1969, not many books came about the movement. During Jayandra movement of 1973, some organizations, at least we can talk about two organizations. One is Sampurna Telangana Praja Samiti or Vidyarthi Aikya Karyacharana Vedika. Vidyarthi Aikya Karyacharana Vedika means Students Joint Action Committee, Student JAC you can say. So, Vidyarthi Aikya Karyacharana Sangham brought some pamphlets. In this class, we will be talking about publications, pamphlets, magazines. But it is not the movement we are talking. But what do we understand with this? Pamphlet made all the aspects which any organizer will do. So, bringing out pamphlets is very important. In 1973 and between 1973 and 87, though there is no talk about Telangana, the demand is not in the public domain. It is not a big movement or not even a small movement. At this point of time, one person that is, just now I talked about, that is E.V. Padmanabhan. Padmanabhan used to bring a magazine known as Flash and Philomen. Flash and Philomen. At times it is also called as just Flash. So remember this name. In the examination you may be asked. Flash is a magazine published by E.V. Padmanabhan, an ex-councillor. So, in 1969, another book came, that is Telangana Movement. This was brought out by Telangana Teachers Association. 1969, they have brought out a book known as Telangana Movement. Again, Teachers Association means the same people those whose names I have taken just now, like Jayashankar, Anandrao, Sridhar Swami, Tippareddy, Madhusudan Reddy, all these people. And now, when we talk about 1980s, as I said, N.T. Ramarao came to power and N.T. Ramarao became a popular leader because of one notion, that is Telugu pride. Not Telangana pride, not Andhra pride, Telugu pride. When Telugu pride is the agenda, anti-Congressism is in air, and anti-Congress means anti-ruling, because there is no opposition for so many decades. So what will happen? People will be vexed with the government and looking for new alternative. And then N.T. Ramarao came. N.T. Ramarao, as we have discussed about the growth of regional parties in the other topic, we can say clearly, N.T. Ramarao has made the colonization possible very, very cunningly, very, very, consciously, but without we feel the pinch of it. Okay? So, Telugu Desam, as we have discussed in the topic, Telugu Desam party's growth, its genesis has some peculiar characters. A caste, that is Kamma caste, has entered into politics with a bang with N.T. Ramarao. Otherwise, we never had Kamma caste representing the political leadership of Andhra Pradesh. All Reddy dominant things were there. But Kammas getting into politics made from N.T. Ramarao. N.T. Ramarao, as I said, all his schemes were pompous, big names, Telugu, Sanskritized with Telugu. It is not even Telugu. Like Varuni Vahini, like Telugu Ganga. See, when you say Telugu Ganga, knowingly or unknowingly, you are getting attached to it, because it is Ganga and Telugu is there. Like that, N.T. Ramarao period was completely colonization intellectually too. So, rise of Telugu Desam has led to one specific thing, like local leadership was brought in by 1983. Many people in Telangana joined TDP because these people, those who are joining TDP, were not having any political say during the erstwhile periods. But here, with the rise of Telugu Desam, locals are rising. At the same time, Telugu Desam has another important or another interesting phenomena, that many non-locals, means non-Telanganites, were getting tickets in Telangana. Because N.T. Ramarao thought that it's my country now, I can rule as I feel. So many non-Telanganites were given tickets. And one such thing is happening in one by-election 1983. In 1983, when N.T. Ramarao got elected and his government is forming, in those elections, in that election, that particular election, a candidate from Himayatnagar died of heart attack on the same day when he got the news of his getting elected. So, the vacant seat should be filled by election. In 1983, by-elections to Himayatnagar constituency was happening, and Ala Narendra was fighting the battle of ballot box. Then we used to have ballot box, now it is EVMs. So, Narendra was a candidate from BJP in the by-elections at Himayatnagar. And Telugu Desam, interestingly, as I said just now, Telugu Desam has chosen Parvataneni Upendra, actually he is number 2 in Telugu Desam. Parvataneni Upendra was the organizational brain inside Telugu Desam. So, Parvataneni Upendra was contesting from Himayatnagar, Narendra and Upendra. So, Telanganites took the side of Narendra and discarded, means they did not vote or favor or campaign for Upendra. Though it is a ruling party, it was defeated in the assembly elections. Narendra won with a clear majority. So, that these things we can understand, the period is completely, they are taking each and every opportunity or a chance to oppose whenever possible. Whenever possible, we will approach the people and say that Telangana is getting injustice and take the opportunity to make some political platform. This is the thing happening. So elections became one of the important activity for Telangana activists who are very less in number. So first activity as a group, they took up and campaigned against Upendra in the constituency. And Upendra lost the elections. It was a success for Telanganites. Then, after this success, people were very, very happy. Happy in the sense, there is something which we could do after a brief period of lull, after a period of setback, after a period of desperation, after a period of inferiority that we lost in 1969. Suddenly, because of the influence we could show in Himayatnagar by-elections, Telangana Democratic Front was formed in the same year, TDF, Telangana Democratic Front. And it held a convention in YMCA, Hyderabad, and attended by Bagareddy, MP, a local leader of erstwhile Medak district. Presently it's in Sangareddy district. Bagareddy was the invitee. He was also speaking about the injustice to Telangana. A Congressee, Jahirabad MP basically. So Bagareddy, Goka Ramaswamy, a leader, an MLA from Warangal. Then Satyanarayana, a publisher and a Telangana activist. E.V. Padmanabhan, again same thing. All these people attended and participated in this Telangana Democratic Front formation. Another political party started in 1984 was Telangana Party by Devananda Swamy of Warangal. So this Devananda Swamy's Telangana Party, though it is not so popular, it is to be mentioned because Telangana Party is a political party getting formed in the period of silence. So Telangana Party of Devananda Swamy, a resident of Warangal, starting the party in Warangal, is important in this period.